Hey y'all, so I've got this 2015 Chevrolet Volt that it won't charge through the high voltage cable connection. And I did check codes yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be a isolation fault in the high voltage system. So on these vehicles, the high voltage system is totally separate from the 12 volt system. Now I did go in and clear the codes, but I'm going to use my KINGBOLEN K7 here, and let's see if the codes come back when I key it up. Okay. So I am now going to share the screen on this scan tool. Let's go ahead and key the vehicle up. The service engine soon light is off right now, so there may be a case where I have to drive the vehicle. But even if the light doesn't come on now, there are some checks we can do. So this vehicle, it is a known issue that the high voltage cooling system can form a leak inside the battery case. So I'll have to raise the vehicle up, pull off some butyl tape, pop out a drain plug, and then see if water drains out. If water doesn't come out, then I go in with a paper towel and wipe in there, and if any moisture at all comes out, then that is the problem. So let's jump in here and see what kind of codes, if any, we have. After I cleared the codes, the battery did fully charge, so it's all the way charged up right now. And let's just see if the codes come back. If the code doesn't come back, then what I'll do is I'll go ahead through the procedure to check, and then I will go in and take the butyl plug, or the butyl patch, the drain plug, and then wipe right in there, see if any moisture is in there. If there is no moisture there, then there's some other tests that we need to run to find out where the isolation fault happened. So what an isolation fault is, there is voltage bleeding from the high voltage system into or to the frame, is basically why those codes set. So let's see what code we get, or if any. I'm going to do a health report, which checks for codes in all the modules. And this KINGBOLEN K7, I had heard of KINGBOLEN, but so far I've been really pleased with what this scan tool will do, especially on a hybrid vehicle. We're able to access pretty much everything, and I did some bidirectional controls, raise the windows up and down, just kind of playing around with it yesterday. But I was able to see data for the high voltage controller, so pretty impressed with it for it to be kind of a very inexpensive scan tool. So it looks like we do have digital radio receiver control module. I'm not really worried about that, and I don't think that means there's a code. Let's see. And definitely doesn't have a front seat heating control module, because these do not. This one doesn't have heated seats, so that's why the exclamation mark is there on that one. All right, we are 100% done, and as of right now, as you can see, we have no code stored in any module, which is good. And right now I do have it in ready mode, right? Yeah, so it's ready to roll. Everything's powered up. I haven't driven it, but everything's powered up, and so far no codes. Now it may be that you have to drive it, hit some bumps or whatever. I cannot drive this vehicle right now though, So the battery's fully charged and cleared, like I said, cleared the codes yesterday, and so far so good. So the first step that I'm going to do is we're going to disable the high voltage system. I'm not sure that's necessary to do the drain plug procedure, but since we're basically going into the battery compartment, I am going to do the high voltage disable procedure. So let me move the vehicle to where it needs to be for me to do the high voltage disable procedure and get it on a lift, and then we'll walk through that. So be back in just a minute, but it will seem like just a split second to you. I know for the shutdown procedure, the first thing is to make sure that you turn the power off. Next thing is to take the key fob, the remote, out of the vehicle and pretty far away from the vehicle so that it can't pick up on that. So let me go run that to a box or a desk that's across the shop, and then I'll come back and you're supposed to try to power it up one more time just to make sure that there's not a key fob in here that you weren't aware of. Let's foot on the brake. Push the power button. No remote detected is showing on the IPC. So we are good. Now let's go through the rest of the high voltage disable procedure. Show you how that's done on this Chevrolet Volt. Alright, so on this vehicle, the 12 volt battery is actually located in the rear hatch compartment. Disconnect all these goodies. Oh, the accessory charger. Lift this up. Okay. Positive. Oh, this is really nice. Yes, so what they've done for you here is they've actually got, let's see if I can bring this a little closer for you. So this is really nice. They've got this little cover that you can just pop off, and it's even labeled with a battery. So you just pop it off, and there's your access to the negative battery cable without having to go through a lot of crap. And just as a bonus, this cover that I had to remove to access or lift up to access it has a little tie down that you can connect. I'm sorry, I'm not even showing you. Has a little tie down that you can connect right here so the cover will stay open. So that's really handy dandy. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get that disconnected, and then we'll see what's next on the procedure. So it looks like it's just your standard 10mm bolt, yep, or nut that uses the wedge to clamp the battery. So I'm going to disconnect this. Alright, 12 volt battery is now disconnected. Now we'll see what the next step is and go from there. I am going to leave the hatch open because it is battery operated by the 12 volt system. Now that we have it disconnected, the hatch will not reopen without a lot of trouble. So I'm going to leave it open now. So the codes that we had was a Papa 0 Alpha Alpha 6, P0AA6, and a P1FFF, Papa 1 Foxtrot Foxtrot Foxtrot. Those were the codes that were in it. And yes, there is a TSB out there for reprogramming a module for that. And I think what it does, it just widens the parameters for that code to set. But let's go ahead and I just want to check for water first, because that is one of the first things in that procedure, that TSB, is to check for water coming out of the high voltage battery compartment drain. Okay, so the high voltage service disconnect is actually located right here inside the center console. So I'm going to pop out this insert. That came out way easier than I actually expected it to. And then there is a little white diaper there for us. Make sure that you all can see this. Yeah, you can see the high voltage service disconnect. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this plug out. Let me look and see how this happens. Pull the acoustic pad, blah blah blah. Push the locking tab, release the hook, pull it in the arrow until it stops. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, there's a little tab right here on the front of this connector. It looks like you push it in. Easier said than done. Is that what you do? Or do you pull up on this thing? Shoot, okay. Yeah, so there's a little yellow tab that you just push in, and then the high voltage service disconnect just pops right out. Now in this high voltage service disconnect, I don't know if you can see this or not. There are, it's really weird trying to get oriented with a camera. So there's the two really big connectors, and then on either side of that plastic divider right in the middle, there's two smaller, really tiny terminals. See if I can point them out to you. Right here are two, and then on the other side of this, there are two. Those are the high voltage interlocks. So as soon as you pull this plug out, that should, the relays will kill the high voltage to the rest of the vehicle. And that's why you pull the service plug out. So the service plug disconnects the battery internally, and then the high voltage interlocks cause the relays to kill power to the rest of the vehicle. Now at this point, what you don't want to do is go fiddling around in here. This is still high voltage. It's dangerous to mess with it. So I'm going to close this, and in a shop, you're going to want to have a barrier around the vehicle to keep other people from, so that they'll know that, hey, there's high voltage going on here. Don't mess with it. Okay, so I've walked through the high voltage disabled procedure. Everything checked out okay. But what we're going to do now is we're actually checking the drain on the battery to make sure that there's no water intrusion in it. Now I do have my high voltage safety gloves on just to make absolutely sure that in case there is an issue inside the battery, I am still here to continue shooting this video. So this silver, really sticky tape is called butyl tape. I think it's spelled B-U-Y-T-L. And then there's a little rubber plug right there. Both of those, the tape comes off, the plug comes out, and then hopefully you don't see any moisture come out. I don't see any moisture coming out. If you don't see any moisture coming out, then you take a paper towel and kind of wipe up around in there. And if there's any moisture whatsoever, then according to the TSB, you call technical assistance. And I am not seeing any moisture. Let me flip my flashlight on. Yeah, no moisture whatsoever on this. So I'm going to say we're good. Let me look up in there. Don't see anything either. Now at this point, you just pop the plug back in, and then you do have to get fresh butyl tape. And what the butyl tape does, in case you get into deep water going down the road, flood, or whatever, it keeps moisture from getting inside the battery, because it's like super waterproof tape. This really sticky stuff is very waterproof. And so then you put a fresh patch of butyl tape on that to make it waterproof. I did the disconnect procedure. We pulled the plug out, and the water came out when I put the paper towel in there. Thankfully, the paper towel was not wet, so fingers crossed the battery is good. So we're done with the TSB, because that's pretty much all the TSB was saying, was check for water in the battery, coolant in the battery, and then do the module update, which is still an option. I just don't want to have to send it to the dealer right now, because I don't have a way to program a module here. So I'm wanting to try to cover all the bases I can first. So looking at the flow chart here, let's see here. This code P0AA6, the battery energy control module has detected active isolation resistance is less than 225,000 ohms, kilo ohms. And 5 vehicle on and off cycles have occurred. So maybe the reason why this code hasn't reset is I have not cycled the key 5 times. So I just cleared it yesterday and left it at that. So maybe it just hasn't had enough drives or key on and off cycles to have reset the code. But let's just continue on, because it does have us check some parameters on the scan tool. Now, the light is blue on power. All right, engine just fired up. I'm good with that. We'll leave it. We'll let it run. Let it ding. We'll roll up all these other windows so we don't have a lot of external noise. Okay. And the hybrid battery cooling system is full. That was one of the things it wanted us to check, so we've done that. It's asking, are any of these, there's a long list of codes. It's asking if they're set, they're not. So now it wants us to go into our hybrid powertrain control module 2 and look for some certain data. So let me show you what we're looking at here. All right, so this one right here, the hybrid powertrain control module 2, is what they're wanting us to look at. Verify with the scan tool the hybrid powertrain control module 2 isolation test resistance parameter is greater than 275 kilo ohms or 1,000 ohms. So we're going to look at data. Let's look at live data, or display data, excuse me. And it's the module 2 data, right? Yes. This should be what we're looking for. High voltage interlock circuit, right? No, isolation test resistance. Sheesh. There we go. Isolation test status. Let me make sure there's no other. Yeah, there's another one. Isolation test resistance. I'll pull all these up just so we know we got all our bases covered. Oh, that's wild. Okay, I thought it was exactly what the spec is. So as you can see, we're wanting to see a resistance greater than 275,000 ohms, and we actually have 225,000 ohms. Still a lot of resistance, but apparently the resistance must be compromised, or some insulation or somewhere the high voltage system to chassis ground is compromised somewhere. Still a lot of resistance, but as you can see, the test actually failed. Now, if I could drive this vehicle, what I would probably do is drive it while I'm watching the isolation test resistance and see if it changes when I hit a bump or something like that. In fact, I've actually got the hood up, but I can move the car just in the shop, and let's see if we see any variance at all using the graphing feature of this KINGBOLEN here. I know I'm sharing the screen on the scan tool, but I figured I'd hold it up so you can see it as well. So still 225. Pretty good, yeah, pretty good bumps there. Nothing's changed. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means we have a solid, whatever has failed has failed. But also what I'm wondering now, though, is if the whole problem is just that the module needs to be recalibrated to reflect this being, over time, wear on the vehicle, this being a normal parameter. So what I'll probably do next is just check to see if that reprogram widens or changes the resistance that the computer's looking for in the high voltage isolation system. So it does say refer to circuit or system testing. So at this point, they want us to disable the high voltage system again, turn the vehicle off, disable the high voltage system. Let's just look and see what all they want us to do here. Test for 550 mega ohms between the battery pack harness connector terminals listed below. Okay, so this is at the battery pack itself. The main wire connector is at the front of the battery pack. And then they want us to test the EV battery pack coolant heater. It's a possibility that within the heater itself, there's an internal short that's bleeding some voltage to chassis ground as well. And then it has us do several other things as well. What I'm really curious about, though, y'all, before I just say I'm done with this, let's cycle the key on and off, what did it say, 5 times, and see if those codes come back. This next ignition on cycle should be, if I'm not mistaken, number 5. I didn't count. Okay. No service engine light still. Switch it off one more time. And it could be like a drive cycle. It says ignition cycle. What does GM consider an ignition cycle? I don't know. To me, an ignition cycle is exactly what I'm doing, but who knows what their definition of it is. Let's see. Okay. We have nothing. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick health report just to see if any codes came back. Nothing in the ECM, so that tells me we don't have any codes stored. Yeah, Hybrid Powertrain Control Module, both of those, no codes. Okay, so we're good. So to recap this video, this 2015 Volt, I did check the codes and I had already cleared them prior to shooting this video. And I was not able to duplicate the codes in the shop because right now the vehicle is not registered to be driven on the road, nor is it insured. So based off of the testing that I was able to do, everything is checking out okay. I did go through 5, way more than 5 ignition cycles on and off. I even waited 15 minutes between after the video was shot just to see if I could make the codes reset. So I think, as I've said multiple times in the video, the best course of action is, once we get it registered and insurance on it, to take it to the dealership, see if it does have the latest calibrations that TSB talks about in the high voltage control module 2, and the battery energy control module, I think, was the other one that also needed to be reprogrammed. So we will have those checked, and then after that, after getting those reprogrammed, if it needs it, see how it does. So I hope this video helped just a little bit. Some other things that could cause those codes is there is a known issue with the float. It's a Hall effect float. It's in the reservoir for the high voltage cooling system. That float hit a big bump. It's known to get stuck in the down position, which gives a false low coolant reading to the module, which could also set those codes. So just wanted to give you a few things to look at. I was hoping that I would be able to get into more of using the mega ohm meter, the milliohm meter, to really get into some good diagnostics and figure out exactly what's going on. But hopefully, for our sake, as far as the vehicle itself and it being ours to use, it's just a matter of reprogramming the modules. So thank y'all so much. See you next time. God bless you and take care.